Hi everyone, I'm on my way to meet someone who's been a friend, a mentor, a real inspiration, and honestly, one of my favorite people I've had the pleasure of meeting through work. You may also recognize her as my former Global Gaming Awards co-host. Of course, I'm talking about the brilliant Micky Swindale. We're gonna have a little walk through London and talk about her incredible career journey, leadership, the gaming industry, diversity and inclusion, and a lot more. Let's go meet Micky. Hello, Micky.
Lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very well.
Thank you for finding time for me on a Sunday.
I think this is going to be fun. And what would I rather do on a Sunday?
You always find time for me. I always appreciate it. Thank you. Right, because I don't want to keep you too long, let's get started. I've always known you as Micky from KPMG. So tell me about Micky before KPMG. What did you do before your career at KPMG?
It's kind of hard to think that after 29 years that there was a life before KPMG,
yeah.
but it shows how ancient I am, Mariya.
No.
Yeah, well, if you want to go back to the very start, I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, and I lived in Nigeria till I was 19. So I had a very different upbringing to my parents, who had kind of been, I was the first person in my family to go to university, me and my sister were. It was a big change, and we probably got a lot of opportunity because of being in Nigeria. Yeah. The standard of education was so high there, the opportunities for kids, sport, everything else was fantastic. So that gave me a really good start. And then after university, I joined Arthur Andersen, not KPMG. So there was a work life before KPMG.
Wow.
And trained with them. They no longer exist anymore, of course. But joined KPMG in 1997, hence the 29 years. So
oh my God.
Approaching a big anniversary.
Yeah. You have to mark the occasion in a big way, I hope.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, well, actually, they have to mark it for you.
Do you think that's right? Okay.
Of course.
I'm going to get you to tell them that.
Absolutely. Wow. So how did you end up at KPMG?
Well, actually, it was a bit of a convoluted journey because I'd trained with Arthur Andersen in Manchester. I left the profession for a couple of years and worked in recruitment consultancy, which is actually a great grounding for sales. It wasn't where I wanted to spend my life, but it gave me a real sense of why selling and commerciality is important. But it wasn't for me. So I wanted to get back into the profession. I'd trained as an auditor, and I kind of thought, at the time it was the Big Six, not the Big Four, but it's been a few mergers and changes since then. I kind of thought, after a couple of years out, it's going to be quite hard to get back in. So I moved to the Isle of Man, which is where my parents had come from and had grown up. And the Isle of Man had changed a lot since they left. It had been a sort of fishing and tourism community when they were young. It had changed to a financial services hub, not yet gaming, in 1997. And so I moved to the Isle of Man, where my parents had returned to after Nigeria, and applied for jobs there with the Big Four. And KPMG said, yeah.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history, exactly.
Amazing. So at KPMG, you've really built your way all the way up. You started from small roles. And
very small roles.
Yeah,
really.
And then you were MD, CEO of the Island Group, partner. Weren't you the first female partner on the island?
I was, and sadly still the only female partner they've had on the Isle of Man. So I feel a bit sad about that. Yeah, I feel like I didn't pave the way enough.
Yeah, and now you're Global Head of Sales Enablement?
That's right.
So tell us about all the roles you held, and how did you build your way up? How did you even get noticed in such a big company? Because to me, that is remarkable.
Well, it's kind of the wonderful thing about working in an environment like KPMG, and this will be just as true of the other professional services firms. If you want it, there is so much variety and so much opportunity, because let's be honest, I was never a good auditor. I wasn't a particularly great accountant. So I was never going to be super successful in that. But that didn't matter, because at KPMG, you can kind of find the stuff that you want to do and really double down on it. And that's kind of what I did. I guess first by moving out of audit into advisory, taking a particular focus on people and change, so looking at culture, performance management, behaviour, and also business development skills training. So really looking at how can we, as partners, accountants to whom selling doesn't always come terribly naturally, how can we get more confident, more assured, focus on our client relationships and have great conversations with our clients where we really hear what they need. And that was probably the basis of where I am now.
That's what you're really good at, the conversations with people. You've always been great at that.
Well, that's only because we find it so easy to talk to each other, Maria. You know, you would say that.
No, but I think you always find a way to talk to anyone.
Well, that's very kind. But I think that's not a natural talent. I do think it's a skill that can be learned. And I think a big part of it, not that I'm doing a lot of that today, but a big part of it is learning to shut up and listen.
I understand that. I've struggled with that in my career. Like when do I need to shut up and not say it?
But it's hard, right?
It is hard,
and often I think
agree.
the harder you're trying,
Yeah.
and the more uncomfortable or nervous you feel, like in high pressure situations, there is a natural tendency to want to fill a silence, and it's not always the best thing to do. But that was a hard lesson for me to learn.
So, you were a CEO of the Island Group. How was that experience? Because I would imagine it was a lot to manage at the time. How did you transition from those smaller roles and all of a sudden then you became this very, very senior leader?
So honestly, it was terrifying, and every new job has been terrifying, and I don't think that ever changes, and anyone that pretends that it does is probably lying. He agrees, so that's fine. Is probably lying. But actually there was a fairly natural route there, and gaming was quite a big part of it, because the Isle of Man moved into gaming, kind of identified it as a sector that they wanted to focus on in around 2005, 2006, and they really set their stall out, but they didn't quite get their proposition right until about 2009. And that was a time when our MD in the Isle of Man said, right, how do we feel about this sector? Is it something we want to support? Let's take a really good look at how it's regulated, what it's trying to do, how we feel about gambling. You know, that was a big deal.
It's always been a taboo topic.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Especially here in the UK, to be honest. People feel very conflicted.
There's a lot of stigma around it still, even after all those years.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think there is a sense on the part of a lot of the public that all gambling is bad and harmful. Yeah. And of course, the truth is that that's not the case. Of course it's not the case. And what we quickly identified was how highly regulated the industry already was and was going to be, because there was a big change in regulation going on at that time. But also that reputable operators wanted people to have safe, good gambling experiences. And that responsible gaming thing has ramped up, you know, in the last 20 years, because I'm just realising as I say it, that is nearly 20 years ago. So we set our stall out at KPMG that we wanted to support the sector, that we felt that it was the right thing to do, that we could add value, and that we wanted to really kind of define and help those who were trying to guide and lead the sector. And that led me to Gibraltar, because we started off our e-gaming summit and our focus on the sector in the Isle of Man, but then we were asked to open up a new office in Gibraltar. And I got to lead that. Aww. So that was a big part of my journey, getting a new office that I could find office space for, recruit people to lead, and then be a big part. And the welcome I got in Gibraltar was extraordinary. It was very empowering, and I still now I think owe an awful lot to the people that supported us at that time, people like Albert Isola, Peter Montegrifo, who sort of said, here's a female leader and I'm treating her as an absolute equal.
As they should.
And that was amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Wow, you've achieved so much.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think
I
think it's just about being open to opportunity, genuinely. And I think sort of not letting the terror get in the way of trying to do a decent job at it.
What are the challenges of being in a leadership role? Because I think there are people they're great employees, they can be in a very senior role at their company, but it's just being good at your job doesn't mean that you're also a good leader.
That you're a good leader,
Yeah.
I know. And you know, this, funnily enough, this is something we've been talking a lot about at KPMG recently, is what makes a good leader? Because we do tend, in all industries, to promote people who are technically very strong or commercially very strong. That doesn't, as you say, make you a good people leader.
And some people generally, they don't even want to be managers. They want to do their job, they're very good at it.
Absolutely.
But they don't want to be managed. That is a completely different skill, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you enjoy being a manager and dealing with people on a daily basis?
I love it. I mean, honestly, I absolutely love it. But I don't think I was very good at it at the outset because I think,
I wouldn't be able to tell.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I think because my kind of fear of underperforming was so great. I think I was probably too controlling, too worried about everybody doing the right thing in the right way at the right time, rather than kind of surrounding myself with people who were different to me, who had different skills to me, and kind of saying, you tell me, you know, is this the right thing to do? So I think it takes a few years to get the confidence to kind of stand back and go, okay, I definitely don't have all the answers, but I don't have to have all the answers either. And that's been a big change for me.
So tell me, why is gaming so special to you still?
So I guess it was the first time I really focused in on a sector. I'd been quite a generalist, and for all the reasons that I mentioned about it was a new sector on the Isle of Man, we decided that we wanted to really focus on it and support it. And then, of course, going to Gibraltar, where the sector was so established, then I really got the chance to kind of expand out and start to think about, okay, how are we working with this sector, and getting to know the who's who of people in the sector as well, which really matters. Relationships matter, and having a wide-ranging sort of bunch of contacts across the sector really matters. So the Summit Series, which we started in the Isle of Man in, 2010. And then
it's been a while.
I know, it's frightening, right? We only missed 2020 for obvious reasons.
Natural reasons.
But yeah, annual event in the Isle of Man, and then we started the following year in Gibraltar, and then Russell Misford started our Malta Summit Series. So it became our kind of annual get-together of our clients, but also the people who were leading thought for the sector. So regulators, the gaming lawyers, particularly here in London, some of the great and the good from the legal side. Lots of people dealing with mergers and acquisitions. It's always been such a key part of the market. So I guess my knowledge of and relationships in the sector really expanded. But being honest, the Global Gaming Awards really helped with that as well.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Well, because the profile that it gave me, particularly in the US, where I didn't know people as well or have such a wide range of contacts, to be standing on a stage at G2E in front of a room full of operators and, you know, really important people in the sector was a huge thing for me. So thank you for that. It's
I'm so glad
really
to hear
helped.
that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that. So you don't cover gaming in your current role, but you still do the Gibraltar Summit. You're very involved. You pretty much lead the whole thing, don't you?
For the Gibraltar Summit, I do. That was my real baby, and I didn't want to let it go. So when I came into the role that I'm doing now, I said to my boss, Regina Mayer, who's our global head of clients and markets, I said to her, I'd like to still continue doing my sector role, and she said, "What's the sector?" And of course, you know, that's it, for all the reasons we've discussed already. That's a bit of a heart in mouth.
How do you say it?
Because I was like, how is she going to feel about this? So I didn't sugarcoat it. You know, I was like, it's gambling and betting, particularly the online side. I run a sector event every year in Gibraltar, and I've got I love it. I love the people in the sector. I'd really like to carry on doing it. She was super supportive.
Amazing.
And I think that is a sense of how different the US
Yeah.
kind of sensibility around gaming is. It's seen as a leisure activity. It's seen as somewhere where people go and have
They've really
fun.
embraced it.
Absolutely. I mean, you've only got to look at Vegas,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
the whole thing there. So she's let me keep it, and that's been great because it means that not only do I get to coordinate the summit every year, and that event is particularly special. I think there's a reason why a lot of the CEOs make it a must attend for themselves, because it's quite intimate. It's less than 300 people, but it does tend to be mainly operators. And that's unusual for those sorts of events.
That is very unusual because
Yeah.
the events that most of us are used to attending are packed with mainly suppliers.
That's right.
Very few operators that are hard to spot in the crowd of thousands. And
Yeah.
I love those events. But I'm going to be honest, I prefer a small, intimate event where you
Absolutely.
can have a real conversation and, you're not rushed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's lovely, and I'm hoping you're going to come down to it because I've been trying to get you down for years.
I would love
And this
to.
year, I think particularly will be a really key one. We've got Fabian Picardo, the Chief Minister, coming to talk about the treaty that they've reached with the EU and what that will mean for Gibraltar. We've got Sue Young from the UK Gambling Commission coming down. We've got Grania Hurst coming to have a fireside chat with Kane Purdy as the new chair of the BGC. So I think it'll be a really nice event, and of course everyone's very focused on AI, and UNLV, the University of Las Vegas, have done a big study with us on AI in gaming. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's why you have to be there, Mariya, and you all have to be there. But the other thing for me, and this happens the day before the summit, is that we have our event with Global Gaming Women, the We All Want to Play event.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that you and I both share.
It's a very important topic and something that I think we should talk about more. I would imagine when you started your career, things were very different for women. Yeah. Were you the only woman in the room for a certain number of years, I'd imagine?
Do you know, more than I would care to admit, I'm still the only woman in the room. A lot more than you might expect. Not so much at KPMG, to be honest, but in other rooms when I attend different meetings. I don't think gaming's any better or worse than any other environment when it comes to opportunity for women. But you do tend, I have found over the years, that most of the rooms, particularly as I've got more senior, most of the rooms I walk into are full of middle-aged white men. And I'm very fond of lots of middle-aged white men, particularly the one I'm married to. But having a room full of people who look and sound the same means they've had very similar experiences. And that is not helpful.
It's not how you can progress as a company, as an industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, particularly in terms of what you talked about earlier, being a people leader. Because I think it is fair to say, and apologies if people disagree with me, I think it is fair to say that particularly now, if we look what it takes to lead in the environment we're living in, and particularly the environment that people coming into the workplace now are experiencing from an economic point of view, from an uncertainty point of view, from an AI point of view, being embraced by leadership who care about you, who are focused on the success of the team and focused on sort of supporting you to be your best self, is going to really matter. And stereotypically, women do that better than men. They are less focused on their own success and more focused on the success of the whole. So that's why I think it's a really good thing. Obviously, I want women to do well as well because I love women. But
you've always championed women, like since.
Well, it would be kind of bad not to, wouldn't it? It would be very inauthentic.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that other women don't enjoy other women's success, but they don't champion it as much. Not everybody champions it much or feels like they should be happy about it. I vividly remember the first year that Amy Howe, the former CEO of FanDuel, won the Executive of the Year award. We're in Vegas preparing for the event, and you look into the room and you're like, oh my God, Amy's won. You were just genuinely so happy.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, women championing women.
Yeah.
Men championing women, you always encourage that as well.
And most of the men that I have worked with have been incredible at that.
I think so as well.
Sometimes they haven't understood how to or the best way to.
But they're trying to.
But they want to.
That's what matters. They're trying to.
And it's interesting the point you have about women championing women, because I agree it doesn't always happen. And in a way, you know, it's not an obligation, but I think it's the right thing to do. Honestly, I think particularly in the past, most women have been so exhausted trying to battle through both the pressures they have balancing work and life, because typically women take the strain at home. So, sorry to my husband, but typically they do. But also, it's, you know, they've had to probably go above and beyond to prove themselves at work to get the opportunities they have. So I guess I would kind of forgive if you haven't quite got the strength left to do anything other than survive, you know?
I agree, and which is why I respect you so much, because despite all of that, you still find time to champion women and to do stuff. And I saw a post recently on LinkedIn from the global chairman and CEO of KPMG, who personally thanked you for your work in the diversity and inclusion field. So tell me more about that.
Oh, that was...
I saw it was an event in Rome. I think there was a photo of you and him.
Right.
We did like a fireside chat or something.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw that.
That was incredible. I saw him like, oh my God. But if anyone deserves that recognition, it's you.
Honestly, it's a testament to the man he is, actually. And when we talk about men who champion women, this is Bill Thomas, who actually is just about to retire. He'll retire in September. His successor, Gary Wingrove, has also been super supportive to me. He was a big part of how I got this role, because I actually emailed Bill back in, gosh, it would have been April 2022, because I was about to move into my second term in my KPMG Islands Group role, which I loved. But some of our non-exec directors had said to me, well, you know, wonderful that you want to do another term, but I'm not sure it's your highest and best use at KPMG. And that was an example of two men very intentionally stepping in and going, no. You want to aim higher than this. And I was like, wow, do I? That's terrifying. And one of them suggested email Bill. And Bill not only replied the next morning, he then introduced me to Gary, who was about to move to London to be global COO, and said, go meet Gary, talk about what you feel most enthusiastic about, what you would most like to do at KPMG, and we'll see what happens. So he's been incredibly supportive. And so then to be back with him in Rome in March, at the very time that they announced that he was retiring and Gary would be his successor, I was there running our Growth Generation Women program, which is all about maximising opportunities for already very successful women at KPMG. It was kind of, it's not at all a leadership development program. It's how do we make sure you get from the role you're in now into some of our biggest market-facing roles? Because, you know, in the way we've discussed, KPMG is a very diverse, talented organisation, but the face we show to the market sometimes looks very white, middle-aged, male.
Not diverse.
Yeah. So we have, you know, we have just as much to do ourselves inside the firm, and Bill has really supported that and recognised that. So the chat you saw me having with him was in front of that audience of all those amazing senior women.
Well, honestly, it was amazing. When I saw the post, I was so happy.
He was so kind, and I was very chuffed. That was nice.
As you should be. It's a huge recognition, and honestly, you so deserve it. Micky, one thing I really admire about you, well, one of the many things, I've already mentioned some, is you're a very good public speaker. How did you become such a good public speaker? Did you get training? Did you just learn by yourself?
Well, that's kind for a start to say that I am. A little bit of training, but nothing very formal. I try and offer a bit more of that now in my current role for other people at KPMG.
Which is very kind of you to do.
Well, but frankly, it is part of what makes KPMG successful. Yeah. If people are happy to get out there and get on stages, so that was part of the reason that I did it. It was that selfish reason around if you can get comfortable with standing on a stage and talking about stuff, well, actually, then people notice you, and
I agree.
and they notice you on LinkedIn, they notice you at events. And people notice you inside your own company as well. And so I think it's probably been one of the things that has led to opportunities at KPMG for me. But I think the way to get comfortable with it is to force yourself to do it. Yeah. And actually, I have found it difficult at times over the years to persuade women to come and speak at the summit and to appear on panels, because I think women are so hard on themselves that unless they're going to stand up and present perfectly,
I agree with that. Absolutely,
they're not prepared to do it. Yeah, exactly. And so one of the ways that I've kind of tried to address that is encouraging women to be on panels first, and making sure that moderators for panels are providing a very not a safe space, because
comfortable, let's say.
A kind space, a space where you're not being, no one's setting out to trip you up or to sort of make you wrong foot you or say you make the wrong. Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing for me is when there have been a couple of quite high profile women in the gaming industry over the years who have been dragged kicking and screaming to do a panel, and then you can see them 5 minutes in kind of relax and go, oh, actually, this is quite good fun.
And how good they are as well. They're natural.
Exactly. And so I think then, once you're comfortable on a panel, then you can get more comfortable thinking about standing up on your own. But the awards was a big part of that for me.
I agree. Same for me.
Yeah.
As you say, I'm being more recognised now, because the public speaking, definitely, you get noticed.
And the first couple of times we were terrified, weren't we? I mean, and I remember, I'd probably been doing it. I mean, I did the very first one in 2014 at G2E. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to think when your first one would have been. I mean, it's quite a few years ago. But
2021 or 2020.
And I remember you being a little bit kind of like, oh, what's this going to be like? I was like, you're going to be fine. But and look at you now.
Yeah, but I'm so happy I had you. Now, I don't know if you had somebody to do that for you when you did the first award, but maybe by that time you might have been comfortable speaking in public already.
Yes and no. I mean, I was really nervous for the first awards, but actually, because it was the first awards for Julian, for Gary, for all of you, for Tom, we kind of worked it out between us.
Well, Julian said you really helped him for the first awards, and you calmed him down. So I don't know if anyone did anything for you, but you helped the other guys for sure.
But that's what we all do, isn't it?
That's what we need to do, just help each other.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, back to what you said before about people leadership and what makes a good leader, I think that's the key. I think being kind to other people in how you give feedback, in how you, but also, kind of encouraging them and motivating them. That makes everyone successful.
Yeah, I agree.
And the more we do that, and genuinely, I think probably if I have been successful, it's been partly because of that. Because I hope that there isn't really anyone that could say, Micky Swindale treated me badly.
Oh, there won't
and
be
I
a
would
single
be
person
so ashamed if someone could.
There won't be a single person who will say that.
And that matters. It matters.
It does matter. But I'm sure you're going to have hundreds, maybe thousands of people that will say, Micky Swindale, help me. I'm definitely
that would be wonderful. It won't be hundreds and thousands. But
it will be.
But the most I can manage in... I was going to say what time remains to me. That sounds terrible. But I guess if I can... I think I have more opportunity to do that now, and I will have more opportunity to do that in these remaining years. Yeah. And so I want to make the most of that opportunity. It's a bit about leaving a legacy, isn't it? In the sector and in KPMG. So that really matters to me.
Yeah, you've left a huge legacy already. And like I say, you do so much to help people become leaders, you help women, and you do even more beyond that. you support so many charity causes as well, and you do some amazing work. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you cycle 1,000 kilometers in 7 days?
Gosh, oh God, it's a
charity?
good memory, because
Yeah.
that's a long time ago. That
Yeah.
was during the pandemic, actually.
Yeah, but I just remember you posting about it. I'm like, that is a lot, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to cycle myself. I do about 30K and then I'm dead.
Yeah, that was the first kind of endurance thing we did, and it was my husband's idea, Paul's idea, and we did it together, which is a lot of pressure on a couple to do something like that. And I do recall, he will certainly recall, being quite unkind, like contrary to everything that I have said, quite unkind on probably about day 5, when I was very tired and he was making some suggestions that I perhaps didn't go down well, and oh yes, I lost it. But it was great, and we still do things like that, as you know, kind of pretty much every year. I think Paul makes me do it because he knows that if I've got, say, a week or 6 days where we are with a group, we have to get from one place to another to sleep each night, then I can't work. All I can do is cycle. I have to leave my laptop at home in the way that I never do
you can't
usually.
take the laptop
I
with that.
can't fit in calls around it. I've just got to cycle. And so he's really doing it for me and my mental health, my physical health, to get a proper break. So, and if some charities make money along the way, well, that's all good.
Yeah, what is beautiful, you're using your break again to help others.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that's partly because then it makes it a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
If you've committed to do something that you're then people have sponsored you for, then on the days where I'm thinking I cannot cycle another mile, you're kind of like, well, I have to, because otherwise I'm letting down all these people that have put their hands in their pockets, you know.
It's honestly, it's so inspiring what you've done, supporting so many.
Well, this
charities.
summer's Amsterdam to Zurich, so congratulate me when I make it, because that's going to be a bit of a big one.
When you do it, send me a link.
Oh,
we'll support you guys
Thank
as
you.
always.
Appreciate it.
All right, I got a couple more questions for you. What advice would you have given your younger self, looking back now?
Yeah. To be honest, there's not too much I would change. I think I've learned just as much from the bad times as the good times, and I don't think you can avoid bad times. Sometimes you're going to come up against people who aren't kind to you, who don't treat you well, and sometimes just stuff doesn't go according to plan, and it's just unfortunate. So I'm not sure there's an awful lot I would change. I guess what I would say to myself is maybe you just don't have to try quite so hard on every occasion. Sometimes you can just trust that you're going to be all right, that things are going to be all right, and just, you know, not wing it, but just be a little bit more relaxed.
You've already worked hard, so have a little faith.
Exactly.
That
You don't have to
things are gonna
kill
work out.
yourself every time. I did a development centre at KPMG years ago, and the piece of advice that the sort of trainers, consultants, whatever, gave me at the end was, you don't have to bleed. They were kind of like, in every situation, it's like you have to take it to the nth degree and you know, absolutely kill yourself and it's not always necessary. Sometimes you can just kind of go in, just let it happen.
Yeah. And final question, what would you say is your best bet, figurative, in your life or in your career?
Oh, that's easy. Paul.
I was gonna guess that.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Choosing the right person to marry and then marrying them. I think marriage is a wonderful institution. Is huge, and to marry a man who was so motivated about my happiness and my success. And that there came a point where he wanted to take a back seat to that, to allow me to reach what he thought, and it was always him that he thought was my potential.
That is very rare, I would say.
Has been massive.
Yeah.
It is rare, and you know, the interesting thing for me has been the women's program that I'm running at KPMG. It's been really interesting meeting those women every year as we take on a new cohort of about 30. How many of them do have someone like that in their life?
Oh,
so
really
it
good.
makes and that's why they feel they have been so successful, because of the support they've had from that person. So it is huge. Finding the right partner to support you and kind of help you find your dreams has been really key.
I agree.
So KPMG has been important, but not as important as Paul.
I agree, and yeah, you guys are amazing because I've met him as well. It's great, as you say, to have someone that will really support you, not be jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
When you start going up the ranks.
Exactly.
Well, it's been amazing to talk to you, Micky.
Thank
As
you.
always, we're going to have to do part 2 at some point because we can chat all day.
Definitely. Yeah, no, we could. This has been great fun. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Next time I'll bring some sunshine.
I hope so. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Micky. If you did, make sure you subscribe to our channels as there's plenty more interesting conversations coming.